All right, we're turning to the breaking news out of the NBA, where the Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and Portland Trail Blazers coach Chauncey Billups are under arrest this morning in connection with federal sports betting investigations. According to three sources with direct knowledge of the matter, members and associates of organized crime groups are also among the couple of dozen individuals expected to face criminal charges in two separate illegal gambling-related cases. Rozier has previously been linked to unusual betting patterns surrounding his play, specifically during the 2023 season with the Charlotte Hornets. Charges for Billups appear to be related to an illegal poker operation. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn and FBI Director Kash Patel are scheduled to hold a news conference on the cases at the top of the hour. Joining us now, New York Magazine contributing editor and Washington Post columnist Will Leach with the latest, and also, what do you make of the news, Will? I mean, it is, if it's, they're saying these investigations are separate but related, which I think speaks to how kind of wide-ranging this is. You know, this is the second time that Rozier has been a part of something. To me, the larger thing, the fact that Billups, he's a coach. Like, there's also an assistant coach, Damon Jones, who's involved in this as well. The fact that this is not the first time that Rozier's been involved. This has not been the first NBA situation. This has not been the first sports situation. Remember, Emmanuel Clase, the closer for the Cleveland Guardians, was unable to play the end of the season and in the playoffs because he's currently involved in a gambling investigation involved in as well with Major League Baseball. This is something that a lot of people have been warning about for a long period of time. Not just when gambling was made legal, at least states were unable to make it illegal, but also when leagues themselves have jumped really full feet. You watch these games on the FanDuel network, and there are broadcasters saying, hey, if you want to get a little action on this game right now, on this free throw that's coming up, particularly when you come to the Rozier thing. Rozier is the thing involving micro betting, which is the idea you bet on what's going to happen to the next player, how many assists they're going to get in something. That is something that is very ripe for corruption. I think we've seen that multiple times with him. Okay, forgive me but I mean, it just seems like gambling and sports, and you just mentioned, that it seems very much hand in hand. So what makes it illegal? What crosses the line here, and how do these cases that we're just hearing about potentially play into that? Well, because the players themselves are not allowed to do this, and very clearly, the thing that was worrisome with Emmanuel Clase, for example, investigation that's still going on in Major League Baseball, he was accused of, the first pitch he would throw would be a ball or a strike, and people were able to bet on whether or not it would be a ball or a strike. That's one of the issues that a lot of people have with micro-betting. We've seen players banned from the league permanently for this, with the idea of you get a certain number of rebounds. If you can bet under 5 rebounds, and then he pulls a hamstring at the beginning of the game and can't play the rest of the game. You're seeing things like these things are generally flagged. There are groups that keep an eye on that. That's actually how Rozier was caught on this, is there are gambling groups that keep an eye on this stuff. Now, the Billups thing is different. That does appear it's related, but it does appear to be involved to a poker ring. But again, that's the coach of a team. These things are, any athlete that's involved in this, particularly in their own sport, it's a very, very dangerous thing. Isn't this, in many ways, though, an issue of what it does to the fans, the consumers who are buying tickets, who are supporting something that is lucrative, that is really being fixed, and ultimately they're the victims, not the teams. The victims are really the sports fans that are paying for what they think is fair, or that has no leaning either way. Yeah, there's no question. There's a lot of things that sports can survive, whether it's a steroid scandal or labor issues. One thing you do have to everyone has to agree on, though, is that the games are on the level. At a certain level, everything falls apart if you don't have if that fundamental understanding, everyone is just playing to try to win these games with no financial motive or somehow trying to lose or taking a fall or anything like that. That's the scary thing about it. This has been, again, the thing that people have worried about with gambling for a very long time, and being so involved in sports. It's not so much that that gambling is inherently terrible or the idea that you shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's the idea that if you start thinking these games aren't on the level, what's the point of watching them? What's the point of getting invested in them if there are things the whole structure of sports falls down if you don't have that fundamental thing. This team's trying to win, and this team is also trying to win for the reasons of competition and not for the reasons that we're seeing right now. Exactly. And the head of the NCAA was here on the show a few weeks ago, and I was absolutely riveted by the interview because he talked about efforts that they're making to try to prevent these kind of micro betting on college athletes because it's so destructive to them. Are you seeing any signs that there might be some reform in this kind of? It feels like such a just sort of free for all on gambling right now, both at the pro level and then maybe most destructively at the college level. Is there any movement to shift that? I know the NCAA seems like they would like to see some of those rules change. They are. There certainly have been movements to push. There has been some success. But you have to realize, this is not like gambling like it was in the 70s, right? Where you called someone that was at the casino and he made a bet for you and then you moved on. These are all on, these bets are happening on people's phones in a matter of seconds. The idea that you could make a bet on a free throw that someone's about to shoot while you're sitting in the arena, potentially looking him in the eye as he's about to shoot the free throw. So yeah, there has been a push, particularly in college sports, to try to push that back. But again, this is the difference. This is the combination of gambling being made legal